All right, we've got another instant reaction pod here. Joining me again is Richie Schneiderite. Richie, I honestly didn't expect to see you again for a while, but we've had a bit of more news come out. Two new coaching hires since we recorded that former podcast this afternoon. Wow, wild afternoon.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm not in my normal setup. I'm at the girlfriend's house. I did not anticipate working for the rest of the day, maybe even the weekend at this point. But here we are. Two new coaching hires. Marquis Watson, D-line coach. That obviously means the rumors about Panagos being out are true. Based on that, I guess let's just start with that one.
Yeah, let's start with that one because that one might have the most immediate impacts in terms of recruiting. Let's kind of dive into who, because Marquis Watson's worked here before. Let's talk a little bit about him himself and kind of what he brings to the table.
So obviously a former New Jersey guy, recruit, one of the best players actually ever in Bryant football history. He's got a crazy stat line. I forget the exact numbers, but he's like the lead sack holder, a lead like tackles for loss holder in Bryant history. I think he's almost, if not in the Bryant Hall of Fame already. I completely forget, but actually look at that. I just had a Power 5 coach text me what happened to Panagos. That's interesting.
Okay.
But I mean, hey, let's dive into that topic a little bit too. It sounded like Panagos just kind of wanted out. I heard he wasn't fully healthy. He didn't really fully recover from that knee surgery. Someone else just texted me, said, do another emergency pod.
Wow. That's ironic.
I was going to text you. This is the third person today that said, we need to do this again. So here we are. But
yeah, I'm glad. I mean, I'm down to do these whenever I work from home. So it's really just about, if people enjoy it, we'll do them all the time, man.
Yeah, no, this is cool. But yeah, it sounded like Panagos never fully recovered from that knee replacement surgery, I believe it was. Yep. And that's a hard thing to recover from. And then he missed the whole season because of it. Obviously, not, like I said, not the easiest thing to recover from. But on top of that, Greg is what he is. Like, Greg's going to be a guy that's going to yell at coaches, going to yell at players. And it's not a bad thing. That's like an old school coaching approach. And I feel like some of the older coaches are just like, screw this. I don't want to deal with this. And that's kind of like a little bit what we heard, but adding Marquis Watson is huge. I said before, he's a New Jersey guy through and through, played at PC, played under Partridge, one of the best Bryant football players ever. And on top of that, he was like not the lead recruiter because he wasn't a full, I don't know if I'd consider him that for Ole Miss and Igbinosin because he wasn't an on the field assistant, but I'd probably say he was their main recruiter. There's a reason he was in that in-home visit with Partridge and Kiffin. What was it, last month?
Yep.
Like he's gotten promoted to their 10th assistant spot twice now. He is like one of the best coaches out there. And I hate to reference other websites and stuff, but he was on 247's 30 under 30 coaching list recently. I think it was last year. He's one of the top up and coming coaches in the industry easily. He knows how to develop talent. He was here before. He was a GA under Corey Brown, when Corey Brown was D-line coach under Ash. Obviously, not everything in Ash ever worked.
But like it's funny, like if you've ever been in a bad relationship, like the further you are away from it, you tend, I mean, if you have a positive mindset, you tend to think of like positive things. And I'm thinking of Corsac, I'm thinking of, Marquis Watson. There's good things you could take from Ash when you're not living in the Ash world.
I know that I hate to say it, but I mean, there is a couple little bright spots. He did produce an all SEC center also. We can't forget about that one. But no, Marquis Watson's huge just because like this could turn the tides a little bit for Igbinosin. He's deciding tomorrow 100%. That's still on board no matter what, even though he's technically not playing in the game despite the whole asymptomatic positive COVID test. Which it's kind of weird because they're going to let him announce there still. So I don't understand the situation regardless, but we're not going to dive into that topic. But yeah, I'm sure the current event board is going to love this one. But yeah, no, this is huge. Igbinosin is probably the number 2 kid. I think we have him number 2 right now in the state. Number 3, I forget what he is. He's something up there. But he's a superstar kid. If they could flip him this late, this would be huge for Rutgers. And it adds another DB, one that you kind of had on board already. And now you bring in Watson. And then his brother's here. You can't forget. And then you see Rutgers kind of hyping up the Union pipeline a little bit between the tweets and the Instagram posts and the photos. And it's like, oh, look, there's Amir Robinson. Yeah. Oh, look, Mike Tverdov. Like, and, oh, there's your brother. Like,
Rutgers has been pretty savvy with their social media posts. They had like a Union appreciation post recently. from the bowl.
It's
I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's weird how they did that and no one else, right?
Yep. It's
pretty
ironic.
I'm not going to say it's a coincidence that Igwinosin played a lot of that bowl game, but put 2 and 2 together. I mean, you can't talk to the kid during the dead period. So here's your little preview of what your brother in year one. So imagine what you could do. Cause I hate to say it, Davidson's better of the two.
Davidson, I mean, if you watch his tape, I can't remember a more explosive athlete in New Jersey in a couple of years. Like he literally bursts off the fucking film. He's so fast. He's got such great change of direction skills. He's got great ball skills too. They line him up at receiver, running back, safety, corner. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, when's the last time a Union kid went anywhere but Rutgers? You got to look back.
I can't remember.
Before the rankings era, at least. And that's 2002. Yep. So you're going back. Like it's insane. So they have a really good shot there with, especially with Watson on board. Watson on board is just huge for recruiting. And he's like I said, a young coach, up and comer. This is an A+ hire for Shiano crew.
So I know you've referenced Watson in terms of recruiting kids in the 2023 class, 2024 class. He's got some ins. He's you referenced him specifically with Sadir Mitchell. Does that instantly catapult Rutgers to the top of the leaderboard for him?
It's going to be tough. It's going to be really close. It's definitely helping a ton. I know with Partridge still down there, they're still going to be sneaky in New Jersey. You can't sleep on him at the end of the day. He's still one of the best recruiters out there. And now with him having the DC position, he can kind of promote that a little more. But yes, Sadir Mitchell is like very close with Marquis Watson. The two have been talking since, I guess, Mitchell kind of popped on the recruiting scene. And when he was allowed to talk to coaches, blah, 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 whatever the rules are with the NCAA and stuff like that. But very, very good chance that Rutgers was already near the top, but now adding Watson to staff it's going to help them a lot, because you could sell this whole thing about how it's a whole New Jersey staff. And this is kind of what we kind of preached that Ash should have done when he was here. And now we're finally come to fruition with Shiano.
Yeah. We'll kind of talk about the theme of New Jersey hires with our other hires as well, but could this possibly put Taiwan Malone in the transfer portal realm of maybe he comes back? Because I know that's a big reason why he went to Ole Miss was the connection with Watson there.
Yeah, I don't see him leaving just because of baseball. He loves
this. Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Ole Miss, I don't even think Rutgers was second in that running. I know it was weird because it was kind of late for Rutgers to get in there with I guess there was when did he sign? He was 2019, 2020.
I honestly don't remember.
I think he might have signed December in 2019, and by then it's like he's signed. I think he was a 2020 kid. Okay. So it was way too late for some crew to get in. Now maybe baseball doesn't work out. Maybe switches solely to football, which I think he should anyway, because as you could see, all these defensive linemen are getting paid millions and millions of bucks. But baseball, I guess you're getting paid a ton too. So it's a tough call there.
Yeah, it is tough. You probably, if you make it in baseball, you probably will make more money and have a longer career, but it's way harder to make it. They're both hard to make it. Let's be real, but
yeah, it's tough. But when you're 6'3", 6'4", 300 pounds, I mean, and you have that kind of pass rush, he's deadly.
His talents are probably more rare on the football field than they are in the baseball diamond. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't think he's SEC baseball good, but we'll see.
We'll find out. But we did have a second hire. This is the first hire of the day, actually. The defensive coordinator was hired. He was the co-DC at Minnesota last year. His name is Joe Harasymiak. He's a New Jersey guy. Very impressive resume if you look at it. He was a safeties coach at Minnesota prior to being co-DC. Helped develop a guy like Antoine Winfield, who's now a standout in the NFL. He was also the head coach at Maine at like 29. Super impressive when you look at where he's been. What do you know about him? And he seemed like he was kind of an out of left field candidate.
Yeah, obviously a New Jersey hire. Once again, Ridgewood, New Jersey native. I don't know a ton about him, actually. I was going back and forth before with Sean Williams, I think he's the publisher of the Minnesota website. I forget if he's publisher, editor, whatever it is. He actually just sent me a text like 2 seconds ago. So if you want, real quick, you're going to lose me on camera, but
no, that's fine. Right? Yeah, let's hear it.
Energetic guy, breeds confidence into his players and has them prepared nonstop. Safety was one of the most consistent roles on the entire team this season. A guy like Tyler Newman went from one of the lowest graded players on the team to one of the highest in a single season under him.
Wow.
So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. It's definitely a hell of a quote. I mean, it's interesting that I don't know what he's going to be assigned as, because if you look, he was just announced as DC. It wasn't like DC and safeties.
Yeah.
And you're adding another defensive backs coach. So now you got Fran, you got Shiano, who's got his ties to defensive backs, and then Harasymiak.
Harasymiak, I think it was. I just had it open, but Joe Harasymiak.
Harasymiak, that's what it is. All right, so I'm gonna have to remember that one. It's gonna be a long one.
Yeah, it seems like from everything I've read, Minnesota fans are not happy about him leaving. He was one of their best recruiters on the staff, if not the best recruiter on the staff. There was a funny quote I read. It was like, wait, so Rob Smith being bad at his job is screwing us again?
Geez, I still can't believe stuff like that. I know I've had fans like text me from that I know are Duke fans, and they're like, yeah, we just stole Rutgers defense coordinator. I'm like, stole, you can have him, I guess.
Yeah, you stole him in the sense that we didn't want him anymore, and we didn't fire him.
Like,
yeah, sure.
Yeah, I guess you can have him. Well, whatever. But yeah, these are two big hires. I know another thing, going back to Watson a little bit. Like I said, I don't know much about Harasymiak, but in terms of Watson, I know a ton. I was talking to Chase Parham from our Ole Miss website a couple days ago when I was hearing that Partridge was a candidate for the DC spot, which again makes a lot of sense if they were going to try to bring on Partridge and Watson, which I really think was the original goal at the end of the day, but it didn't work out. So he went to option number 2, who seems pretty good. But he was telling me that Kiffin loves Watson and was trying to do anything he could do to keep him on board.
Other than give him a full-time role.
He was so close to doing it once. It seems like, I forget who their D-line coach is now, the big name guy too. So it's hard to say no to something like that. And it's hard to, if in the SEC especially, it's so hard to promote such a young guy that doesn't have like the coaching experience when you have the money that you can kind of just buy any coach you really want.
Yeah, so their D-line coach right now is a guy named Randall Joyner.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he just got hired from SMU.
Yeah. So it's tough. Like I probably would have. I really think hiring Partridge, they probably wanted to promote Watson to that 10th assistant. So now it's going to be interesting because now, like, Lane Kiffin's not happy about this one. I can tell you that much. And
I can't imagine.
Hire it now for Shiano. And like I said, all New Jersey centric staff, all Rutgers connections. Like this is huge for recruiting, and it's going to be a big boost. And yeah, it might make a difference in Igbenogsen's decision. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe he ends up going to Ole Miss regardless. At the end of the day, you're still going to, like, in terms of 2023s and 2024s, this is huge.
Yeah, and if you look at the theme, we have talked about this kind of offline about how, Shiano typically favors younger coaches, and because he wants to be able to like bring guys up to a certain level and be able to kind of like have teaching moments, we'll say, with the staff. Both these guys are young. Harasymiak is 36. Watson's young too. Watson was playing college football like 5 years ago, so he's probably mid to late 20s.
He's mid to late 20s. I can't get over that Harasymiak was a head coach of Maine at 29. I'm thinking here now, and you want me to make the head coach of a program? Jesus, no, like,
yeah, right.
And this guy just rose up through the ranks like it was nothing, and then all of a sudden, now within a year at Minnesota, Flex saw something in him to make him co-DC right away. Either that or someone was trying to poach him already, which is insane to say. And you add another recruiter. Now you still have one more spot open. That's where it gets a little tricky. It doesn't sound like they're going to go with a special teams coordinator. You might just go got on staff like Keith Bruno or someone else. Maybe you bring in like another analyst, like who even knew John Perry was on staff last year.
That was funny because I sent Richie yesterday, or was it today? One of the two. I sent him a link from like Football Scoop, and you're like, oh, that's who that guy was.
Yeah, I had no idea. I used to like see him all the time. He'd always be yelling. He's always working with the wide receivers and the quarterbacks, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Yeah, I don't know, like GA or something. I'm like, yeah, he looks kind of old. Yeah, he's probably an analyst or some shit. And all of a sudden, I'm like, holy shit, this guy had a ton of offensive coordinator experience. But yeah, they have dudes on staff that can handle special teams. Heck, even Frazier could help out if need be. I'm intrigued to see what they do in terms of this last coaching spot. You can go, like I think we said on the pod on Wednesday, you can go anywhere from an inside wide receivers coach if you want to go an offensive guy. I've seen teams make an offensive tackles coach, which is just straight up weird. But I mean, if you need help on the offensive line, would lean towards that, but I don't really think they're going to do that. I think it's going to be another defensive guy, whether it's an interior defensive line coach, maybe another linebackers coach, like an edge rusher coach or something like that. Just get a really good recruiter on staff, and that's kind of all you have to do there.
I agree. I think this gives them a lot of flexibility if they really do plan not to have a special teams coordinator. Get the best guy you can for the best value. Like, obviously, we're Rutgers, so we have some constraints on money, but get a good recruiter, figure out everything else later.
Yeah, no, most definitely. But I mean, that's the biggest thing with Schiano. He wanted that in his contract. The assistant salary pool had to be raised, and he's proving that it's well worth it, because it's interesting. I saw Harasymiak's salary at what was it? At Minnesota.
410, I think.
Yeah, 410. So it's like, all right, like if you pay him a little more, he's probably going to get up to like the 500 range, I would assume, 550 maybe. I know I already requested an Oprah request for it. So you might actually save money in the long run with this hire. You're not paying a special teams coach. Harasymiak's going to make probably less than Rob Smith, who was getting 700 last year.
Yep.
And then Marquis Watson, it's his first full-time job. I don't know what Ole Miss was paying him, but you'd think he's probably around the 300 to 350 range. So in the long run, you're actually saving, I guess.
Or they could be redirecting those funds for some big splash hire. That could be too.
Which the big splash edge rush coach heard. Because the only thing I could think of is like the best recruiters are mostly, or for the most part, are secondary coaches. But there's no shot to hire a third secondary coach, right?
I mean, I'm not going to pretend to know what Schiano's going to do. These are both great hires in my eyes, but nothing would surprise me.
I mean, I would just be shocked just because you got Fran already. It's like you got Fran.
You can't have too many coaches on one side of the ball either. So I think this would put 5 defensive coaches and 4 offensive coaches in one open spot, right? So I'd imagine it'd be offense. You
would think, yeah, I guess it can go either way because it was the special teams court. So it's just like kind of pick and choose. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they had another offensive line guy though. That would kind of make a lot of sense.
Everybody in mind or just speculating?
I'm just speculating off the top of my head. I know I talked to a couple sources, and it's like I know we talked about it off the pod. Like, there's a rumor there's another coach that might be out. I can assure you, it's not one of the names we were talking about. It's not a former New Jersey high school coach. So there's 2 out the bat right there.
Okay, it's very interesting.
That's where it gets interesting. There's a rumor out there. We'll just have to let that burn a little bit, I guess, and see what happens.
So let me double check Twitter real quick to make sure that nothing else happened with the coaching staff before we sign off here.
Yeah, getting insane. I just can't believe that they hired both of these guys. It's Harasymiak. I didn't really know much about, but it sounds like he's a pretty good hire. I'm intrigued to see what he does with Igbinosun.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about that.
Desmond or Davison?
Well, you start wherever you want. I think both are relevant.
I'm intrigued to see, like, because it looks like he had a couple taller safeties, if I'm reading this right. Obviously, like, Izzian's not the tallest. He's not going to go anywhere, I don't think. Avery Young, I think he might shift him around. I would move him back to corner, in my opinion. He struggled at safety the past 2 years. I would look for Igbinosun to start at safety next season. He looks really good in that bowl game. I don't see a reason why he shouldn't start. Now, in terms of his brother, I'm torn on this. I know we have Patty down there at the event. I'm not too worried because worst comes to worst, Patty will get the whole video, get the interview like right after. I know some of our national guys already talked to him, and they kind of have a hint of where he's going, and they still think Ole Miss at this point. But adding Watson to the staff makes a huge difference. And now I'm like kind of like guessing myself because I had Ole Miss like for the past month and a half, 2 months, maybe longer.
Was there a Watson connection with the Igbinosun family?
Not that I know of off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't believe.
Because I could have swore there was some I thought there was like some youth football connection or something, but maybe
there might. Remember, I'm like I said, like I turned off my computer before, and I'm like, I'm done for this.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think anybody saw this coming on a Friday afternoon.
No,
but 2 super exciting hires here.
And typical Friday news dump for Rutgers, and they're making waves. I'll tell you that much. They're pissing off SEC coaches, pissing off other Big Ten coaches. I'm curious if Fleck gave his blessing or not, or if Fleck kind of just, what the fuck, he just stole my guy.
I'm kind of surprised they hired from the Joe Rossi, Rob Smith tree for their next hire, given how Rob Smith has been fired at how many jobs in a row now? 4 or 5?
Arkansas,
3 or 4, sorry.
Rutgers again, technically.
So
there's something missing, another one. Oh, Minnesota. That's 4 in a row.
Minnesota. Yep.
Oh, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, but I appreciate you coming on here, Richie. I'm sure the fans will appreciate hearing your take on all these things. Stay tuned. Like Richie said, this weekend we might not be able to do another one of these if more news breaks. But, let's stay tuned tomorrow because Davis Igbinosun is committing at the game. From what we understand, from Richie's intel is telling us he's committing even though he has COVID and can't play. So. Yeah. Stay tuned. I'm sure that we have a lot more news that's going to hit this weekend. The coaching convention is happening this weekend as well, so we might hear more coming out of that.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see some player development guys move around. I mentioned that the other day. We already saw one in Perry, which I didn't even know he was on staff, but now he's not anymore, so it doesn't matter. Other than that, I do have that article coming out with Gavin Wimsatt tomorrow on Gavin.
Oh, yeah.
With QB trainer Danny Hernandez, who trained Bryce Young since 6th grade. So he's got a lot of dudes out there in Cali. He's actually, Wimsatt's supposed to fly out with him sometime this offseason. He's going to go work out with him in Cali. So it's going to be interesting.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be Wimsatt, Malik Murphy, Jaden Martin, who's a UCLA signee. There's a bunch of other 5-stars. Jalen Rashada is number 2 dual threat in 2023. I think they got the number 1 pro style out there too. I forget his name in 2023 also. Bunch of Cali dudes are going to be working out there.
Is that like Malachi Nelson?
Yeah, Malachi Nelson. That's who it was.
Okay.
Yes, he's working with like 5-stars and 5-stars and 4-stars, and he works with a ton of dudes. He has a documentary coming out. He told me about. It's going to have a little bit snippets of him working with Gavin as well. I was told because we're filming it out when he was out here for the Heisman Trophy thing with Bryce. So then he worked out with Gavin, and then they just started filming a couple sessions. So it's going to be interesting.
Awesome. Well, stay tuned. There's going to be more news dropping, I'm sure, this weekend, guys. But this is your second instant reaction pod of the day to the new coaching hires. We'll see you guys next time.